All right. Okay. I think I've got everything. I will maybe open up with two things. Number one, uh, I have five granddaughters, and this morning one of them was saying goodbye to me. She's from out of town right now. And I think I got 20 kisses and 20 goodbyes. But in the middle of that, my other granddaughter, she says, she was looking at me, and if you take a look at the TW website and you see one of my picture, and then you take a look at me now, she walks into the house and she goes, "Hey, old man." And so I say that because yesterday when I was doing the Zoom meeting, this is not new. This is new to me. And I think this is one of those old man, or maybe a more politically incorrect way of saying it. Maybe I'm what they call okay boomer. So this is sort of new to me doing the technology, but I'm becoming more proficient at it. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this and I'll be able to help you guys very quickly. I'm going to switch off of me and I'm going to go over to a PowerPoint presentation. If you have questions, go ahead and type those into the chat bar as we're going throughout the meeting. I have someone monitoring the chat bar. They can get those questions to me, and I'll allow time at the end of the meeting where we can do some Q&A. A couple of other administrative things. We will be repeating this presentation again at 4 o'clock. And I spoke with Mr. Buck over at the Union Hall earlier this morning, and there is a tentative. It looks as if we're going to be trying to do a couple of meetings on the base next week, on the front end of the week. If you go to the TWU Local 514 website, you'll be able to get more information on that as well. As to those dates and times, I'll be on the base, and I believe I'll be in the town hall meeting room. Lastly, we recorded the presentation yesterday. I'll be sending over the recorded presentation from today. There have been several modifications, a couple of adjustments of new information and updated information, so it will be more current. And so I will be sending this over to Mr. Ball, and Mr. Ball can take down the old one. We'll put up the new one. And if anything comes up in the future, we'll go ahead and make modifications as well. So I'm going to encourage you. There's a lot of information that's going to be in clarification on some areas. And as we're getting that, reach out to both the union on the updated website next week. If there's any changes, we'll get that to you. And we'll get the recorded Zoom meeting, the most recent Zoom meeting as well, so that you have that as a resource to be able to go back and answer questions. Okay, my objective is to help you. I've got two objectives. Number one is to walk you through a number of the issues, probably the most critical issues, to help you make the decision whether or not to sign up for the voluntary early out programs that the window closes on July 31st at midnight. So my number one goal is to help provide as much information so that you can make a well-informed decision between now and July 31st. I've got a number of phone calls, by the way. Generally speaking, I've been able to get all of my phone calls done in one day. It took me a little bit of time over the weekend to get caught up. I was caught up as of Sunday night, and I made phone calls after church on Sunday. So anyway, I started phone calls and went into Sunday evening. Obviously yesterday, the phone calls lit up at the Zoom meeting, so I'm a little behind. I have another gentleman that's helping me. He's going to be getting some information out to you as well. We will answer your questions as quickly as possible. So I'm going to need a little bit of grace in here. We do have a lot of time next week to help you get through. So I'm needing a little bit of time because there are a large number of people that have very good questions, and I want to make sure that we're answering your questions and getting those to you so you can make a good decision by 7/31. So we'll stay on top of that. Give me a little bit of grace here. We need some time to be able to stay on top of all the phone calls, but we will get you taken care of. Okay, I'm going to switch my computer to share my screen. And hopefully Okay, if somebody in the, where is that? I'm looking for a chat and I don't know where my chat bar is here. If I'm making an assumption that you can see my screen, I don't know if somebody can give me a confirmation that in fact you see it. So, okay, looks like we're good to go. All right. I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. Number one, we're going to review the voluntary early out programs, of which there are two. There are specific times and dates that you need to be very aware of and some other particulars. So we're going to walk through all of that. And then somebody's, okay. I'm also going to review the RHRA, which is also known as the Retiree Health Reimbursement Arrangement Program. I'm going to go through a lot of the details on that. With respect to your particular situation, what I do to try and organize this in my mind, because there are unique issues to individuals that are going to retire before 62. Let me just throw out an example. Under your pension, if you commence your pension prior to 60, age 60, there's a 3% reduction per year. So that's something that would be unique to somebody at 62. Another big triggering event is that is when you are first eligible to commence your Social Security benefit. So again, there are issues that are unique to 62 if you're considering this early out. Secondly, there are issues between 62 and 64. Social Security is one of them, but also there will be a number of people that will be losing the RHRA benefits, or excuse me, the Cobra benefits during that period of time, and yet you're pre-Medicare. So then that takes us to 65 and older, which now you become Medicare eligible. So I sort of look at these three ages or those three groups of people, and there are unique planning issues to each of you in those areas. So I will not be addressing all of those issues today, but when we do the town on the base next week, they're going to be giving me 2 hours. This is going to be about a 45, 50-minute conversation today. I'm going to go into a lot of the planning issues that are beyond whether or not the voluntary early out or the retiree health. This is talking about just retirement and getting ready for retirement. So the things that I'm going to be talking about later next week will be dealing with what are all of your income sources? What are your expenses? Let's talk about health insurance and the retiree health reimbursement arrangement and how that ties in to the different seasons that you may go through. Now, obviously, if you're 65 years of age and older and you're eligible for Medicare, maybe I'll say it that way, Medicare eligible, then you have less health care issues, but you now have different issues because you're trying to understand Medicare, Medicare Advantage, your Medicare supplements, prescription, your initial enrollment, special enrollment periods. So I'll address those issues, federal and Oklahoma income taxes, when it comes to the taxation of your pension, distributions from your 401k or IRA, the tax issues surrounding that. I'll be addressing Medicare in detail, Social Security. What if you're working and drawing Social Security? So if you take the 12-month VEOP and you make you're still deemed to be on payroll, that could negatively impact your Social Security benefit. So we'll address that issue as well. And a number of issues with respect to Social Security, survivors benefits, both from American Airlines, from a pension, Social Security, and health insurance. We'll talk about debt repayment strategies so that we can begin freeing up cash flow in retirement or before retirement. And then I want to talk about some estate planning issues because, you know, for example, if you've been married 20, 30, 40 years, that marriage contract, regardless of how long you've been married, that marriage contract does not permit your spouse to access that 401k, for example. So what if you become incapacitated? Now we have to deal with guardianship issues and stuff like that. And then, so anyway, there's a number of issues on the estate planning side that we'll address as well. So I'm going to go through the first 4 or 5 issues here, considerations before 62, et cetera. Those I'm going to go in more detail in the Zoom, or excuse me, in the town hall meeting next week. But then today also, what are about next actions? So we'll walk you through the next actions both now and as we go through this process. If you're going to be enrolling in the VEOP, whether it's the 12-month or the lump sum, you have different next steps that you need to consider. And then also enrolling in Medicare, Social Security, and tying all of these things together for you. So we got a big project to fill. So let's get it done for you, and let's walk through this. What is eligibility under the VEOP? The VEOP eligibility is you must be an active employee, US-based team member, obviously excluding the pilots. And we've had a number of phone calls from people. The fact of the matter is, the way they've designed this is you must have 10 years or more of seniority as of July 15, 2020. So that's just the way that they've designed it. It's probably appropriate to say this is a non-TWU negotiated contract or early out package. So that has bearing on the ability of, or what the union has been able to communicate, because they've not had any involvement in the terms of this. So these are issues and directives and timelines, and the way the plan has come together. This has all been provided by the company. So that was being one of them, the 10 years or more of work group seniority as of July 15 of 2020. And that is true with respect to the VEOP 12 months or VEOP lump sum. So I'm already throwing around words and trying to get this into categories. So VEOP 12 month or VEOP lump sum or 12-month lump sum, those are just doing a lot of the phone calls and conversations. That's sort of how we're discussing it and trying to make the differentiation between the two opportunities. What are the key dates? If you have pen and paper, you're going to want to write this down. These dates are different for the different programs. The deadline date is identical. We have until July 31st at midnight for the VEOP 12-month or the VEOP lump sum. It's July 31st, 2020. However, the VEOP date and the date of separation are two distinctly different dates, whether you do the 12-month or the lump sum. The VEOP 12-month says the effective date is September 28th of 2020. That is critical because that is going to be the control date of the RHRA, the starting period of the 12 months, et cetera, et cetera. So these dates become very important in determining how these benefits are going to be paid out to you at specific times. So September 28th, notice that's 2020, that's this year, that's the VEOP date. However, you are not separating from the company until September 27, 21. Your separation date triggers an entirely new set of issues. You will then be on Cobra. You then have you are then eligible to commence your pension because you will no longer be on payroll. Okay, so two different dates. As compared to the lump sum, your separation date is September 30, 2020. That's just a couple months away. Your VEOP effective date is October 1, and that is important with respect to bridging you and connecting all of your health insurance and Cobra, commencing pension. So those dates are distinctly different between the two and have significant meaning with respect to how your benefits are going to be paid to you and when they're going to be paid to you. We're very, very fortunate in this regard. We had 3 prior early outs this year, and as many of you know, many of our members were signing up on a Thursday and the window closed on a Sunday. They were asked to leave the company, you know, on a Monday or a Tuesday the following week. In this situation, the window closes July 31st, we will have plenty of time to begin working with you, crossing the I's, or dotting the I's, crossing the T's, getting all the paperwork that's needed to help you through this process, getting into individual appointments and drilling down into some of the key issues that are important for you to make the retirement decision, but which the VEOP is that, but there are higher level issues that we can guide you through to make that decision. A lot of the other details are implementation, not whether I should go or not go. And we're going to discuss some of that in our individual phone calls, but individual meetings over the month of August and September, we're going to drill down deeper into a lot of the other planning issues and helping you through that process. But so my point is, the 3 previous early outs, we were not given very much time. We've got 2 months now, over 2 months, to be able to help you guys go through a very orderly process and helping you through this. So I think it's going to reduce a lot of the anxiety because this is a very big life event and key event. So we want to help you through that. So anyway, what about the pay side? Obviously, as you're aware of, and has been, we've been hearing and reading about, the 12-month payout, the VEOP for 12 months, your rate of pay remains fixed for the 12-month period of time, and it's going to be basically 50% of your base pay. So they say it's 6 months of pay spread over 12 months. And again, it's base pay. It does not include your premium pay, your shift differential, overtime, holiday pay. It is your base pay. So that has an impact on the amount that it's not taking what you earned last year and dividing it by 2. And paying it out over 12 months. It's base pay paid out over the 12-month period. A unique issue here, the VEOP on payroll allows eligible members to receive their pay paid over a 12-month period. But the unique part of this is point number 2, because you're not separated from the company, you cannot access that retiree health reimbursement arrangement account. And I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. But the RHRA is not eligible to you as of yet, which is good and bad, which means because of the fact that they're going to be subtracting the cost of your care from your paycheck, that's coming out of your income over the next 12 months. That means you're going to have more of your RHRA account available for you going forward after you separate from the company next year. But you're going to be on the company payroll. They're going to deduct your premium from your paycheck on the health insurance side during the next 12 months. Then you'll go into Cobra. And I'm sort of getting ahead of myself, but that point number 2, you are not separated from the company. So that's a distinction on how your health insurance will be paid and what it does to the balance of your RHRA account, okay? With respect to the VEOP lump sum, again, you're eligible for the 6 months of pay, again, 50% of base pay. However, your lump sum will be paid no later than August 15th of 2021. They could pay earlier. The 3 previous early outs, if you're going to be hearing members receiving their early outs and you're going to say, why didn't I get mine? The reason why is those 3 early outs are going to be, the 3 previous ones are going to be paid in March of 2021 to the extent that they took the lump sum, okay? Where this particular VEOP early out, okay, is not going to be paid until August 15th. And it allows you to do 2 things. Number 1, it allows you to commence your pension October 1, and it also permits you to access your RHRA account to begin using that to fund the cost of your medical expenses. So I'll jump into that. So 2 different time dates, 2 different ways in which you're going to be handled. And if you have questions on that, well, I can answer them more in detail as we go through. All right, details, we're going to talk about that here. The medical side. Under the 12-month, you will receive medical coverage for a total of 30 months. Now that is consistent whether you take the 12-month or the lump sum. It's a total of 30 months. However, For the first 12 months, you will receive medical coverage at active rates, but it's going to be subtracted from your paycheck because you are deemed to be on payroll. After September 27th of 2021, you enroll in medical, or excuse me, Cobra, for the continuation of your medical, which can be your medical, your dental, and your vision, for an additional 18 months, again at the same active rates that you were paying as an active employee, not the Cobra rate. I had some people yesterday that had pulled down all the Cobra rates, and they're saying, well, my premium's going to be $1,800 a month. No, it is go to your paycheck, look at your paycheck, go to the medical insurance line, medical or your health insurance, multiply that number by 26 weeks because you get 26 paychecks in a year, and then divide that by 12, and that's going to tell you your monthly cost for your health insurance, okay? And then you'll make arrangements to make your payments. So what happens is the cost of your healthcare benefits will be deducted from your pay as they normally would have while you're still on payroll. Then after September 27th, you pay the same rates directly to the benefits service center through monthly invoicing that will occur during the 18-month period. So that's on the VEOP 12 months. On the VEOP with lump sum, you separate from the company on the 27th of the month. That's actually these dates are wrong. Hold on. You separate on the company, I believe it's the 30th. And this, well, that's correct then. Sorry about that. Let me save that and let's resume. I copied that over and I thought I saved it, but I did not. Okay, so after separation on September 30th, on the VEOP lump sum, you can enroll in Cobra for medical, dental, and vision, and the coverage will continue for 30 months at active pay rates. It's at the same rate, okay? So and I guess that's duplicated. Your same rates direct, and you're going to make your monthly payment. They'll invoice you from, and you'll make your arrangements to make your payment on a monthly basis. So there's a distinction. And generally speaking, when we think of Cobra, we think of 18 months. We have a 30-month period of time from the date of separation on September 30th at that same rate. Whether or not you use the Cobra insurance is going to be dependent upon what age you are and if you are eligible for Medicare. Because to the extent that you are eligible for Medicare, Medicare must be primary to the company insurance. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more. Here is an important reminder. Under the lump sum, well, this is what I just said. If either you or your spouse, I wanted to make sure that I reminded myself, whether you or your spouse are eligible for Medicare, either of you or both of you must enroll in Medicare, okay? And that's a very, very important issue because it must be primary. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Under the 12-month, VEOP 12-month, company will establish the RHRA following separation, and depending upon your eligibility and how close you are to Medicare, that will determine whether you're getting $100,000 or $150,000. Now, I'm putting this in here right now, important reminder, and I'm going to go into this a little bit more in the next slide. And I don't know the answer to this yet. There's a little bit of confusion, and we will get it answered. We got plenty of time to do this. You must complete the necessary forms to open your RHRA account within 10 days of electing the VEOP, okay? Of electing the VEOP. I don't know what all that means. Electing the VEOP and commencement of the VEOP. So we're trying to get clarification on this point. So here's the thing. If you sign up for the VEOP, next slide, this is what I would be doing. I would be going to JetNet, go under the retirement planning section, and under step number 1, understand retirement eligibility, go down to the bottom of the page, TWIM retirement sick leave election. I would be looking at this section and there is a link. It says retirement sick leave hours payout election for TWIAM. This is not dealing just with your sick bank. And Terry, Mr. Buck and I were talking about this earlier. This is sort of buried. This is where you elect for the RHRA. So we're going to get more details on this. I don't have it as of today. By the time I hope to speak to everybody again on next week when we're out on the base, I hope to be able to get more details, but we will give you more information in our individual meetings, as well as posting it on the web, hopefully on the TW website as well. Or it would be nice if we could get this a little more clear on the JetNet website so that we don't have to be concerned about not signing up. Now, here's the thing. Under the 3 previous early outs, they waived this exception. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case on this one, but as of now, we don't have any indication of that. So this is an important issue. So this is going back to electing. You have to sign something. I don't know what that means yet, but this is where you do it, and I don't know what the time frames are, but we'll get clarification for you. And then many of you are already aware of this. You've probably checked out the site to see how much your RHRA account will be funded. And obviously there, if you're eligible for Medicare, then it's $100,000 as an inducement to encourage people to strongly consider looking at retirement. This is a pretty generous package. I've done a ton of phone calls over the last 3 or 4 months, and then specifically over the last 3 or 4 days. That $150,000 in most situations, I'm getting most people, and by most, I'm saying 95, 96, 97% of the people I'm talking to, I'm able to get you to Medicare now and actually have monies left in your RHRA account to help you fund your Medicare premiums. So you've got a number of years that this is going to help transition you. And this is a big, big, big concern, is the cost of medical coverage for you and or your spouse. So let me go into a couple of cautions here. This is important now. Watch this. Number 1, the RHRA account is only for retirees and spouses. I've had a number of people that I've been speaking to that have their minor children and or adult children younger than age 26 that are still in college or something like that, but they're still on their parents' health insurance. Children are not eligible. Listen to this though. If you have them under Cobra and if you have them on your health insurance, if you have your children on your health insurance and you elect the 12-month payout, that may be a solution to continue health insurance for a dependent child by electing the VEOP for 12 months. And that might be right there in a sweet spot where there's a transition, a special needs issue, or someone losing, it gets them another year of coverage. So that may be a reason why to take the VEOP for 12 months instead of the lump sum because of the ineligibility for children under the plan. Excluded expenses. To the extent that your spouse has coverage with another employer. So now, how does this apply? You cannot use the RHRA to cover those expenses. So that's an excluded expense. So why are we talking about that, Mark? Because I have 30 months of health insurance. Because at the end of the 30 months, if you have not reached, if you're not Medicare eligible, so let's assume that you're 63 and you have 2 more years to get to 65 and your spouse is working at work, is working and has access to health insurance, you cannot use the RHRA to pay for another employer's pre-tax health insurance expenses. I did not say, and I'll cover this later, that you can't use it to buy health insurance, but I said it cannot be used for coverage with another employer. These are some of the IRS guidelines, okay? In order to be eligible, there are 3 requirements. So make sure you meet all 3 of these requirements, and that, because if you don't meet all 3, then you're not eligible. So if you're thinking, wow, I've got this money up to 150,000 in my RHRA, and all of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not eligible. There are 3 requirements. You must have the 10 years of seniority with American. So obviously you wouldn't be able to sign up for the VEOP because you didn't have 10 years of seniority. So it goes to reason then that the RHRA would not be available to you as well. But that's one of the issues. Number 2, you have to be a frontline member, which our TW guys are. And then number 3, you have to be have met the eligibility requirements under the 65-point plan, which again is your 10 years of company service and your age plus the years of company service. Those 2, the combination of your age plus company service, have to equal 65. Okay. All righty. So that's eligibility. A little bit of cautions there. You don't want to think that you have the RHA and then all of a sudden you're ineligible because you didn't meet one of those 3 requirements. So then what are some of the other advantages of this RHRA account? Well, number 1, it's going to cover eligible medical, dental, vision, and prescription costs. So let's go back to out-of-pockets and copays. If I take the 12-month pay, if I take the VEOP for 12 months, your RHA does not become active until you separate from the company in 2021. So you have your entire bank of money available after you separate from the company. If I take the VEOP lump sum, now all of a sudden I can begin using that for medical premiums. You can continue your dental and vision under Cobra for that 30 months. If you are Medicare eligible, you may not, well, you will not do, I don't understand why a person would do medical under Cobra for 30 months if you're eligible for Medicare. There's not a reason to do that. And I will talk to those people that are Medicare eligible as to why, but you may want to continue to the dental and the vision. The other thing is you can use the RHRA account. It can be used to cover the Cobra premiums. So if you are on the 12-month VEOP, you cannot use it to cover your Cobra premiums until you go on Cobra, which is after separation in 2021. If you go lump sum, you can begin immediately using the monies in your RHRA to pay your Cobra premiums because you've separated from the company. You can also use, if you either exhaust the 30 months, you've gone beyond the 30 months and you need to continue to pay your health insurance premiums with another carrier, you go out and buy it on the exchange through the Affordable Care Act or the individual market, then you can use the RHRA to cover those premiums. In addition, this is critical. Participation in the post-employment RHRA. So after you separate, if you're under the VEOP 12-month, after you've employed, the RHRA, or if you take the lump sum, you are in the RHRA, that can cause you to be ineligible to receive the subsidy under the exchange, which means if you have a combined household income for 2 people or single, if you're not married, if your combined household income exceeds a certain threshold, is below a certain threshold, you're eligible for a federal subsidy. So rather than spending $1,500 a month for your health care, you receive a subsidy of $1,000 a month. Now you only have to pay $500 a month. But for the fact that you have this RHRA, you're not eligible to receive that federal subsidy. So we have to calculate that into the cost of your insurance. If you lose if your 30 months ends and you or your spouse are not Medicare eligible at that time, we need to now look at, gee whiz, you have this RHRA, you're not going to be able to be getting a subsidy, so you will be paying a higher premium more than likely. Now, there are a number of other options that are available with respect to obtaining your health care beyond the exchange and the individual market. There are co-op plans, and there are a number of them that are out there if you're eligible for that. Some of you do have VA benefits, and some of you have Indian healthcare benefits. So there are a number of things that we can look at, but this is important with respect to the federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. The RHRA is a disqualification for the federal subsidy. If you or your spouse are eligible for Medicare, the RHRA can be used to cover the Part B premium. Part A is free, which is the hospital coverage. The Part B is the physician's charges and lab work, which has a premium to it. And the Part D has a premium, and your supplemental medical plans have premiums. So your RHRA, a valuable benefit here, can cover those medical costs in exchange, in addition to regular health insurance. So it's also available for your Medicare. And then it's your out-of-pockets and co-pays and things like that that it can cover as well. And so those are generally going to be reimbursed. And there's this whole process of how to get reimbursed and things like that, which we'll go into more detail. And there's going to be a lot of information on JetNet. Some people are already, well, we already switched over to A-Lite. So you're familiar with using A-Lite. So there are certain things that you have to file to get reimbursed. Others, you can use your debit card. The other thing is your spouse can continue. So if you pass away, if the employee passes away, the spouse can continue to use any remaining balance in your RHRA account until the account is exhausted. Lastly, and I was sort of talking about this earlier, your after-tax medical premiums are reimbursable by, so your exchange, your individual market, those types of things, your out-of-pockets and co-pays, those are, to the extent that you have to pay them out of your pocket, they're reimbursable, but you can't use your debit card for those premiums. So you have to submit a claim to be reimbursed. So basically you have to pay up front, then you begin getting reimbursed, and then you're basically a month behind. They're always paying you, and you're basically a month behind. This is another question that I've been asked, and this is a good question. Unused funds, obviously, in the RHRA account are rolled over to the next year until the account's depleted. Unlike some of the other flexible spending accounts and things like that, unused funds cannot be rolled over. Here, the RHRA account is rolled over. So if you're entitled to $100,000 or $150,000 or anything in between, you have those funds available for all of these expenses until the account is depleted. So it's a wonderful little benefit, and this is really a good thing. So okay, starting your pension. I'm going to switch gears here. Remember, the VEOP is paid out over 12 months. Your separation date is not until September 27, 2021. You are not eligible to draw your pension while you are on payroll. Therefore, you cannot draw pension until you separate from the company after the 12-month payout period. Eligible team members commencing their pension after separation, VEOP lump sum September 30, 2020, you're eligible to commence your pension October 1 of 2020, okay? So that's a distinction. I'm asked this question, which is better? And it really depends upon your situation. You know, for example, I talked about having a dependent child, and you need to bridge them for an extra year or 6 months or 9 months. It may be prudent for you to use the VEOP 12-month. But in general, I just want to throw this on the table because this answers a lot of questions very quickly, is that if I'm eligible, you're going to receive 50% of your base pay, whether you take it over 12 months or a lump sum. So the question becomes, if I commence my pension on October 1, and I get to August of next year is when they make the payout. So August is 8 months, October, November, December. and that's 3 months. So 8 and 3 is 11 months. And just to make the math easy, I'm entitled to $1,000 a month on my pension. Let's just say, regardless of the pension option you choose, my example is you are eligible to commence your pension. If your pension is going to pay you $1,000 a month and you get October to August of next year of receiving your pension, which is 11 months, that is $11,000 that goes in your pocket, and then you get the 50%. So you're $11,000 ahead. To the extent you go the VEOP for 12 months, one could say, I want that company match on my 401k. Well, if you do that, the 12-month payout, you're not eligible to commence your pension until October 1 of 2021. So you have, under the lump sum, not received $11,000. In exchange for having the company put money into the 401k at 9% of your base pay. Now, again, this is an illustration to make the math easy. If I am paid $100,000, 50% of 100,000 is 50,000. Company matches 9% times 50,000 is $4,500. I get $4,500 from the company on top of the 50%. So I'm actually getting 59% to leave the company. But that extra $4,500 is less than $11,000 on the lump sum. So there's a couple of ways to look at this. One is not necessarily better than the other. Another reason to do the 12-month is you may have other sources of income from your spouse, rental income. Maybe we need to take a distribution from the 401k to pay off some debt, or whatever the case may be. And you're saying, I would love to be, or I don't need, fortunately, you're in a great position. I don't really even need my payment under the VEOP over 12 months, or I don't need that much of it. It still permits you to make payroll contributions into your 401k. So you get the 9% company match, but you could actually put in up to $26,000 of your income into your 401k under the 12-month. So to answer and anticipating a question, which I've received a number of times, is if I receive the VEOP lump sum, can I put that into the 401k? And the answer is no, because why? You are not on payroll. So if the 9% company match is important to you, and you want to be able to have the ability to contribute to the 401k, then you may want to, that is a reason among other reasons, like the child needing, one of your dependent children needing health care and things like that. Those are reasons why a 12-month payout would potentially be a good option. So anyway, I've probably beaten that a lot to death, but those are the types of questions that I'm getting when asked that. So I've sort of addressed this. You can contribute to the 401k until your separation date of next year. Any company match will continue until separation, which again is September 27th, 2021. The EOP lump sum, you continue until all of the rest of July, all of August, and all of September. You are eligible to take your paycheck and make contributions, but because you're separating from the company September 30, you cannot take the payout, the lump sum payout that will be paid to you in August of 2021. That is not eligible to be put into your 401k because you separated from the company. Okay, a number of you are asking questions because you are, you or your spouse are eligible to enroll in Social Security. So I want to be able to get some information out to you in advance so that we are having all of your income and your health insurance intersect by October 1 if you're taking the lump sum. If you are taking the 12-month, you're going to be on, you're on the company insurance. You're still, you're having your pay, you would not be enrolling in Medicare. And you are not subject to a penalty for not enrolling in Medicare if you are Medicare eligible, because there is an exception to having to enroll in Medicare at 65. And that is, to the extent that your employer has more than 20 employees, then you are not required to enroll in Medicare. And that means you do not have a Medicare supplement. There are many people over the 20 years I've been working with you guys that come in, they're 66, 67, 68, or they're turning 65 and their spouse turned 65 3 or 4 years earlier. They've been in Medicare B and a Medicare supplement because it was sold to them rather than somebody advising them that they did not have to buy Medicare until you separate from your employer that has more than 20 employees. So many of you are now going to be in that position. Medicare must be primary to your health insurance at work. So you may be 65, or older or eligible for Medicare, but your spouse is not. You will be enrolling in Medicare and your spouse will stay on the company insurance until they are eligible for Medicare. Then the issue becomes of enrolling in Social Security. So I'm sort of blending two things here together in one thing at one time. So enrolling in Social Security, because we need to get that started, you can go online. And if you go online, that is the web address, or you can call. I'm giving you 3 alternative numbers. The last one that I would ever call would be the 772-1213, because that's over in DC, outside of DC. It's in Maryland. Bartlesville and the Tulsa numbers are provided for you as well. So you have 3 telephone numbers to work with. The fourth way, well, the fourth way, you got the 3 telephone numbers, or you can go online. What you do is this is the home page of Social Security. What you do is you go in the little box there, it says retirement right there. You click on that, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It can walk you through how to enroll in Social Security. With respect to Medicare, enrolling in Medicare is different. There is a separate website that you can go to. You're not required to go to. And remember that Medicare is not managed by Social Security. It's actually managed by CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. But you can enroll in Medicare at Social Security. So often people think that Social Security and Medicare are, sort of coming out of the same check and stuff like that, or the same place. They're actually 2 different buckets of money, and they come from 2 different sources. But you can go to Medicare, and I'll take you back to that. You can, number one, you can call Medicare directly at the 800-633-4227 number. Okay? So, or 1-800-Medicare, it's easier to remember. Or you're going to see this screen again. You can go back and go down to the lower box right below retirement, and you can click on Medicare enrollment, and that will take you through the steps for either you or your spouse or both of you to enroll in Medicare. All right. This has been a question that I have received. Of the 100+ phone calls, I've been asked this 99 times out of 100. What happens if American goes bankrupt with respect to that retiree health reimbursement account? I should probably put this up first, sorry. Notice the red, bold, italicized, with an asterisk disclaimer, okay? Neither the Transport Workers Local 514, nor am I, Mark, rendering any legal advice right now. This is a very detailed issue. This is not a general. There are multiple court cases in multiple states that deal with bankruptcy. This is a very complex issue. To try and get International's legal team to provide input is not going. This is a non-TWU. I should say it this way. This is a non-TWU negotiated contract. Trying to get an attorney to write an opinion as to what would happen to the RHRA it just depends, and that, I think that's sort of the joke. When you ask an attorney, it just depends, and so it just depends. But that doesn't help you make a decision. And I'm here to help you make decisions. And in order to evaluate this decision, this is from an informational perspective, and in general, this is going to help you assess the risk of this. So number one, and today is what, Wednesday? I didn't check, but the earnings reports for the airline industry are coming out either today or tomorrow. I can't recall. But we're going to get an idea of what the burn rate is on cash. Many of the airlines were burning, I think American was around $100 million a day. They're trying to get that down, along with the others in the industry, around $30 million a day. That's a big number. And if they can do that, they're providing these types of early out incentives to begin reducing payroll and things like that, and overhead expenses. And so the big question is, well, this is a big enticement, this RHRA account, but I don't want to be 6-9 months from now and they go file for bankruptcy and I lose it. So I'm trying to give you the ability to assess that. So the first question is, if these earnings reports come out, that's going to give us an indication of the financial strength of the companies, of the airline industry, and where each airline is. And remember, they're trying to reduce their costs because the first quarter of every year, and I'm sort of preaching to the choir here, generally airline travel was down. So we've got a number of things. The pandemic with Corona has, 78% reduction in travel rates. Compared to last year. This time it was down. It was as high as 90-some% back in March and April, but we've recovered. This past week, airline travel just dropped again. It went back up during July, during June and July when it started to open up a little bit, but now it's starting to recede. So they're trying to, we have to ask ourselves, what's the probability of American going bankrupt when they're trying to survive? I mean, I guess I'm going to say it that way. They're trying to reduce expenses which would in a sense say that they are trying to survive, obviously. The second question is, so question number one is, will American go bankrupt? Question number two is, where do we stand in line with everybody else that wants to get paid when somebody goes bankrupt? Now, I'm not saying where this RHRA comes in here, but if I look at number 5, employee benefits, RHRAs may come in that category, but there are, and again, I'm not giving legal opinion, but you can go out and Google the RHRAs, HRAs, HSAs, FSAs. These employee benefits can be argued different ways in different states and in different facts and situations. So I don't know where the RHRA comes in. If I looked at just this chart and if I wanted to try and assess risk, if there are 10 people standing in line, the RHRA is maybe standing in the 5th position. Your unpaid employee compensation under the VEOP may stand in 4th position. So I'm not going to elaborate any more on that because I'm not wanting to provide legal opinion. If you want to hire an attorney to do that, again, I'm going to give that disclosure. You should do that. I don't know so you should do that. Again, I just want to give you a way to assess this decision. And you can go and Google this area. You can find some information. I looked at a number of stuff and I thought this would be helpful in giving you something to be able to understand where this is. And I don't want to go on anymore, probably belaboring the issue. So hopefully that is helpful because I know that this is I'm asked this 99% of the time. So I will address the one thing on the pension. Your pension is protected. It's frozen, obviously, back in 2012. They actually froze the plan. And then if American were to go to bankruptcy and get relief from the pension, which they were not able to do back in 11 and 12, your plan is insured by the PBGC. And it's just fair to say that there's no disruption of your income. You end up going through you along with everybody else that would going into the PBGC goes through a 2-year audit period. You end up getting a determination letter that says your pension, because it falls below a certain maximum monthly benefit, will not be reduced. And then you get a determination letter of that. And your pension benefit, based upon the fact that they froze it and just knowing you could have 40, 45 years of credited service under your pension plan right now, and you would not have your pension reduced. I just know the numbers and the levels of of what the PBGC insures on a monthly basis. So you can take rest assured that the PBGC and your pension is protected. No disruption of income and no reduction in benefit. With respect to the RHRA, another decision to be determined. I don't know that one, but it helps you assess the risk. Couple of other things very quickly. I don't know why my computer just froze. There we go. If you want to go down here to Leaving American, there's some good information on the website. The reason why I'm bringing this up, I would like you to request your pension packet. Today's the 22nd. If you could go ahead and reach out to, you can go online or you can call HR, and I'll give you that number here in a second. Put in your last day work as 7/31 and do a pension start date of 9/1. That way they'll go ahead and kick the pension packet out to you. There are some ERISA rules with respect to how far in advance of your separation date that they can release a pension package. So if you go ahead and put in 7/31 as your last day and then September 1 as your pension start date, that would qualify for the release of your pension packet. They can send it to you. You'll have it in your hand. Obviously, those are not the dates that you're leaving. And let me probably throw a little qualifier on there. If and when you sign up for the VEOP, you can still leave the company before September, but you would forfeit the VEOP benefits. So what happens is if you sign up for the VEOP and you want to receive the benefits of the VEOP, in general, you will be leaving the company based upon whether you're doing the 12-month or the lump sum. So that could be as late as or as early as, however you want to look at it, September 30th, you would be leaving the company. Unlike, 2 to 3 days after closing the window on the previous early out. I'm going to go through these other slides to get to the close here. These are just basically how to get to Pension Service Center, getting some other information, some other things that, obviously, let me just get down here to, this is all information you can get. Oh, I will say if you wanted your photo ID right there, you can go ahead and download the form, and you have to be responsible for sending it down to HR. They'll go ahead and cut your photo ID badge, send it back to you. For a number of years, we were always able to do that on the base, but we're not allowed to now. Okay, so next week when we get together, there's about another 45 minutes that I'm going to go through, 45, 50 minutes I'm going to go through. Which pension option? Okay, now this is important, but if you take a look at your joint and survivor if you're married, and or the single life if you're single, if you just start there and use that as your income, and then we begin looking at Social Security, paying down debt and 401k and using that to generate income and rental income, all those other things, okay, you should be able to make the decision whether or not you're going to take the VEOP. But now we need to get into some real planning. Are you single? Are you married? Do you have minor dependents or special needs children? Is your spouse's retirement benefits, other investments, your health care costs, other pensions, claiming Social Security, working and claiming Social Security, taxes on Social Security, income taxes on your pension? Do you have any debt? Those are all the decisions that are going to go into making which pension benefit of the 6 pages of options that you have, which one is right for you. We ask some of these questions when we're doing the phone calls with you. So between now and July 31st, we're trying to make the decision whether or not I go. These are all important, but if you have a general idea here, because I'm doing this on the phone with you guys and Dustin as well, we're able to assess pretty quickly whether or not that VEOP is a good decision for you or not. But now there's a lot of details that we have to begin following up on post 7/31, where we'll do our individual meetings and things like that. So how are we here to help you? We want you to understand your healthcare options. We want to address the loss of your employer benefits or the continuation of those benefits now, and also bridging you to Medicare and how income affects your healthcare and Medicare premiums as well, because income can actually increase your Medicare premiums. Understanding your Social Security options, and if you continue to work, if you do the 12-month pay, early VEOP 12 months, what does that mean for Social Security? You could potentially turn on your Social Security. Listen to this. You could turn on your Social Security and take the 12-month VEOP and not receive any Social Security, okay? Because you've exceeded the income limits. So, so there's a 2-for-1 offset or a 3-for-1 offset depending upon where you are relative to your full Social Security retirement age. The effects of your continued or phased out of employment of your retirement benefits, what to consider regarding your pension benefit options, your income taxes, inflation risk to your pension, your 401k and longevity and withdrawal risks. And then we'll assist you in completing your pension benefit packet, dotting those I's, crossing those T's, so when you submit it, your pension packet will not be denied or rejected, which would delay your receiving your pension benefit. All right. I think you should be able to see me now. I'm going to scroll down here. Can somebody give me a thumbs up if you see me? Okay, okay, good, okay. I'm going to do a couple of questions. I'm 1 minute over, and so I know you guys are on some time constraints there. Let me see what I can do in answering some of the questions. If I have loans and I want to pay them off, what would be the best way to pool money for my 401k? Okay, that's a big question. We will want to look at ways to pool money from your 401k because that's going to depend upon your age. It's going to depend upon your income and the VEOP lump sum versus 12 months because we want to try and keep you in a lower tax bracket. So there are several ways in which you can begin moving monies from your 401k. There are some very, very critical rules with respect to your 401k that if you don't want to be subjecting yourself to early penalties, the 10% early penalty for withdrawing money from a 401k. There's an exception to that. It's called Code Section 72T. It's an exception to the 10% penalty. So we will address pooling monies from those 401ks in our phone calls with you or in our individual meetings, but that's a common question. Can I get life insurance that I have with MetLife as an active employee, and can it be switched over to an individual policy at the same price per month? Okay, so you've got 3 things that are going on there. Number 1, you're eligible to continue your MetLife. Number 2, you can switch it to an individual policy. Number 3, at the same price, the answer is no. Multiply your premium, and again, I'm speaking to, I don't know, 100 and some, I don't know how many people are on here. I'm speaking to a lot of different people. So in general, just multiply the premium by about 300% because that's how much that goes up. If you are wanting to talk about single life option and buying life insurance, you would be better off going through an underwriting process with an individual company other than MetLife. You may want to keep your MetLife if you are uninsurable and you need to have life insurance. Okay, so you may be willing to pay that 300% or 400% higher premium, okay? But you can keep it, you can keep the MetLife, you can switch it, but it's the people that generally switch are the ones that are uninsurable, so they give you guaranteed issue insurance, and those premiums are a much higher price. If you take Medicare, the Medicare book states that you will pay a higher rate for Medicare. If you take Cobra, the Medicare book states that you will pay a higher, well, I'm not suggesting you will pay a higher rate for a Medicare supplement because you didn't apply within 60 days at the end of your employer's insurance. Is this true? Okay, good question. Let me unpack this. If you are Medicare eligible, number 1, you can take the Cobra. If you do, okay, if you take the Cobra, you are required to enroll in Medicare. When you enroll in Medicare, you have an effective date, and they don't key off of your Part A effective date. They look at your Part B effective date. So if you separate from the company on 9/30 and you call and enroll in Medicare, you're Medicare eligible, and you call and you enroll. Your effective date is now October 1. You have a window of time to enroll in a Medicare supplement. It's not, if you take Medicare, the Medicare books say you will pay a higher rate for Medicare supplement because you didn't apply within 60 days. It's actually not 60 days. You actually have, because you have a loss of coverage, you have a little bit longer window than that from loss of coverage from your employer. But what happens is if you take the Cobra, you enroll in Medicare, and you do not do a Medicare supplement when you become eligible for Part B, if you exceed a certain window of time, you will A, have to go through underwriting, B, you could be accepted at regular rates and the most favorable plan that they have, or B, they could increase your premium, or C, they could deny you your Medicare supplement. Okay, so the answer to your question is, it is true, but it's more detailed than what the question asks. So the idea is that if you do not enroll in Part B in a certain amount of time, you'll have to go through, you could be accepted, your premium could be increased, or you could be declined. And that's a Medicare supplement, not Medicare Advantage. And it all triggers off of your Part B. So that goes back to my point earlier in the meeting. I don't know why somebody would go into Medicare, pay their Medicare B, pay their Medicare D and the Medicare supplement, and still continue Cobra. It doesn't make sense to me, because your Cobra insurance is secondary, Medicare is primary, your Medicare supplement picks up, and then you're going to be paying for Cobra insurance. That doesn't make sense to do that. Now, you could continue the Cobra for a spouse or for yourself if your spouse is on Medicare. So that's a different issue. My wife is Medicare eligible. When she signs up for B and D or supplement, will I have to pay for Cobra for her? The answer is no. If the employee or the spouse is eligible for Medicare, you can drop out of the Cobra and then just use your RHRA account to pay your Medicare premiums, your Medicare supplement BD Medicare supplement. And but you can, either you or your spouse can drop out of the Cobra insurance when you become eligible for Medicare. The time frame of payout from unused sick time and vacation time from the time of separation. Okay, now you have to go back to the separation date. Are you VEOP 12 months or VEOP lump sum? So from your date of separation, you will receive your vacation time and on or about the, your next pay period, or when it would have been paid. The sick time, if you take it as a lump sum in cash, generally it will be paid at the time of separation at the same time that you get your vacation pay as well. Sometimes, and what they did this last time under the previous early outs, some people got a separate check from their pension, or excuse me, from their paycheck, and they paid out the lump sum. And I actually had a couple of people that do that, that had that happen. So it may come, but generally speaking, it's within that next couple, 2-3 weeks after separating from the company. My wife is working. She has health coverage through her employer. We are both 61. I'm on the AA insurance. If I take a lump sum, does this cancel my opportunity to utilize the HRA? No. If you take the lump sum, you are eligible to begin using the RHRA. It's just that you cannot use the RHRA to pay for health insurance provided through her employer. So what I would do in that situation, I would file a life event, have her come off of her employer's coverage, because you have this, well, in general, I would say that, because I can make an argument you may want to preserve the RHA account for later, and it also depends on the age of your wife. So, well, I guess you're both 61. So we'd want to calculate using the 30 months of health insurance that you can have paid for by the RHRA. And then at the end of the 30 months, you file another life event, go back over to her plan, and then use the balance of the RHRA to pay for your out-of-pocket expenses, but you can't use it to pay for her premiums for health insurance provided through her employer. If I'm Medicare eligible at this time, can I just pay my spouse's medical through the company and I get the Medicare enrollment now and not have to pay the answer is yes. I think we had that question earlier. Okay, guys, 10 minutes after. I hope this has been helpful. And again, we will be sending this over to the